Welcome back to another episode of the Blitz Break. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen, and we're excited to join you for another week's episode. With me, as always, my counterpart in crime here, longtime Texan, Mr. Buzz Howard.
Yep.
Excited to have you back.
I'm glad to be back, and I'm wearing my white tennis shoes again.
With your white tennis shoes?
But I do need to get new ones. I understand. I'll get new ones soon.
I thought we were going to lose you to Texas. I didn't think we were going to get you back from Dallas.
I almost didn't come back. Last week we were at the American Pacific Mortgage Symposium in Dallas. It was a great event, and I was with my home people, and then I actually went and visited family. So it was tough coming back. I did shed a little tear.
I could tell the accent may have to take another speech lesson to get back to California to talk here.
I know.
But really excited today. We have two guests. Really on point topic with first off, a military veteran. So first and foremost, thank you for the service.
Yep.
A 6-year veteran in the real estate industry, fitness expert, and author of Empowered Aigents. Is it AI Agents or Agents?
Agents, yeah.
Jayson Flory.
I like the play on the word. That's pretty cool.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you. Love the suit, too. It's a great looking blue.
Appreciate it.
And also, our second guest, and another title representative, another title expert, and a longtime sales leader in the industry, and almost 4 years in title at this point now?
Well, okay. Maybe one.
Maybe one? Okay.
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 Yeah.
Even better.
Brand new.
To it. Mm-hmm. Chelsey Mowbray, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And you're with Placer Title, so out of the Folsom area, correct?
That's correct.
We just moved out there. We're getting settled in the Folsom area, so
Yeah, I'm hearing the stories about you settling.
getting
your
settled
house.
still. So welcome, Chelsey. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Perfect. Well, we are definitely going to need to jump right into, first and foremost, the book. I am super excited to hear more about how this came about, Jayson, what the kind of the inspiration was for it, and tell me a little bit about what Empowered Agents speaks to, and a little of kind of what the what the goal was with putting the book out.
Okay. So a couple weeks ago, I did a talk. It was a agnostic brand talk put on by Realty One Group Complete, and so I wanted to have something more, and it was obviously on AI, and I wanted to have something already done to add to some credibility of that. So I've always wanted to write a book, didn't know what about, started it several times. Now with all that we have available to us, I was like, well, I might as well use the tools that I'm going to be speaking about and put that together. And so that was several months ago that I put the book together. And really it's to make what is overwhelming much simpler. And it's funny because I don't really consider myself a tech guy, but I have a mindset of growth. And so I'm going to look for what the tools are that are out there to make things better, faster, stronger, those kinds of things. But when it gets into the minutia and the details, I shut down. When you start worrying about like N8N and Zapier and how this connects to that, I'm just like, I'm done with it, right? And so I wanted to use my curiosity and help the not average agent, because the average agent doesn't even probably open the book, but those that are also curious to put those dots together, right? And when I started the talk last week was, AI is not going to take your job. It's real estate agents that use AI that will take your job.
So well said.
Yeah, we'll consolidate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm now I sent my VA a very direct message last night that was like, hey, you're falling backwards, right? I'm coming up with tools that are really starting to minimize how much I need to go to you. So you got to step up your value add as to why I need you. I have been turned on recently to different software programs and different things that are turning on different light bulbs for automation and all these different aspects to what we do. And it's funny, I was working on some projects this morning, and it's like AI is the ADD dream, because, we all, I mean, at least I have 15 different tabs open, right? But now with different resources, you can actually use AI to go in all of your different tabs and search and do different things. And while I got this video on Descript and it's running down summarizing a 2-hour YouTube video for me, I'm over here helping another agent of mine put together a listing presentation, and then I come back to that when it's done and I throw it over to here. And so it saves so much time and allows me, again, to do the things that only I can do, right? And that's what the book really helps to hone in on, is use AI so that you can be in the living rooms, you can be on your appointments, you can be doing all of these different things that only you can do. A robot's not going to go show houses. Now, they probably will drive them to houses at some point, right?
Maybe open the door for them.
Yeah, Tesla's not too far from that. But they're not going to take you to dinner and have those conversations when you haven't got an offer in 2 months or whatever it happens to be. So it's really to help agents, and it's easy to read, big font. It's got QR codes. It's got, what do I do next, right? What do I do at all? Scan this QR code and literally it'll give you a 30-day plan, right? Like, what do I even need to tell ChatGPT? Scan this QR code and it gives you 26 questions to start filling out. So a very systematic way of just starting. And then once you do that, it will help to carry it out for you.
Wow. So now I've been told, Chelsey, you're like a tech whiz. I think I was told that some of your background is in tech.
Correct. Yeah.
And that you're coming into the title and escrow industry and working with the very top great agents, but you're really bringing this tech savvy. So is this rumor true? And tell us a little bit about that to kind of continue with what he's saying.
Yeah. So my background, yes, it's in tech sales. So I worked with likes of Lockheed Martin, American Airlines for 8+ years. So I am very leaned into how tech is really changing and evolving, right? So exactly what Jayson's mentioning right now, right? So AI is really amazing, and it's really kind of at the forefront of what we all should be doing in our personal and our professional lives, as well as being on camera, right? This is where our clients are. This is where our network is. And I hear this all the time from agents. Well, you have folks like Jayson that are sharing his secrets, right? He's out here giving a book, giving talks and telling rooms of people, hundreds of people. You guys are here, doing podcasts. Isn't everyone just going to steal all your stuff? Not really. Most people don't do half of what you say, maybe not even 70% of what you say. So be on the horn, get it in front of people, and who's going to see it? Your clients, right? Your potential clients are going to be there. And to Jayson's point, I know in his book, he says, AI is not going to take your job, and AI is actually huge in medical right now. And a lot of people are saying, well, gosh, is it going to take the job of a doctor? No, it's not. It is definitely going to help a doctor be an actual doctor and not actually do the forms that he has to fill out, the follow-up of that appointment. And so it's going to be able to, he just can focus on the medicine, right? So if you're an agent, you can focus on doing the selling, meeting with the appropriate lenders, finding out how much that house is really worth, and really being on the forefront of what you actually do and not just the admin part of everything. And as far as title goes, I really see it. What I do at least is lean into the people that are really leading the industry, and I connect with those that are especially in the technical areas. So I think you're going to have different title reps that specialize in other stuff, farming or walking farms or events or technology, which is my thing. So I love to meet with agents that are really leaning into it. Same with lenders that are leading into it. I never thought that lenders would be so in front of technology. It's so impressive today. And so I can meet with them, and I'll take them into offices, and I'll say, hey, let's have a conversation around how we can really grow your team, your business, and your footprint in this industry. How can we help on the title side as well?
Love it. What both of you were saying that I just hits me like square between the eyes with just my thinking, and you said it with the complexity conversation. The depth of understanding we all kind of have to invest in to learn what is actually available to us is the investment we need to make, and then figuring out how to make it a simple application into our lives. And as a leader, a lot of my thinking is always very complex to then simplify it, because I want to find ways to introduce it to our teams and on scale that doesn't disrupt the personal sales, focus that we want people to operate in, so they can connect and build rapport. It's very easy to get lost in the minutia. It's very easy to get down a rabbit hole of trying to figure it out and lose your way of, well, how is this actually going to make my life better, more efficient? How am I going to impact the end user, the customer, in a way that's going to benefit them? And, you perfectly stated, right? It's how we use it that really is the key that we have to figure out. And when I listen to both of you talk, what things do you think are the most common misconceptions right now about, you touched on the idea that it's taking jobs, but what else do you think is a misconception that exists surrounding the use of AI and technology that's, picking up speed at record paces?
There you go.
So I hear often, because I always say title reps are like the little worker bees of the world. We are in all the offices and brokerages and lendings, and so you hear from brand new agents as well as very seasoned ones that are just very scared of AI and technology in general. It's changing. I don't know what to do with it. And it's really just the idea of where to start, I would say. That's really what I hear, and people are just completely overwhelmed with, is it my Facebook? Do I need a new email address? Do I need to be on Meta Business Suite? How do I get my Google business page going? There seems to be this overwhelming arch of just so much all at once, because I think people just didn't have anything before, and now they're just all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, you've got Jayson who's building robots, and you've got agents that are, everything is automated, and they're like, I don't even have a Meta business page, so I don't want to do any of it because it's scary. That's what I'm seeing mostly, is just the lack of understanding of just start small and just start with one thing and then go to the next thing, and just like anything, have an accountability coach or an accountability person. I say, if you find an agent that you really like, if you're a young agent, you find another agent that you really want to emulate, you want to be as good as them, have them be like your accountability coach, that they don't even have to know it. You just watch what they do, right? You see how many times they post online, and you try to post like that. So you watch all their stuff, you turn on notifications, and you just create an accountability coach that you only know about, but that's the person you want to be.
Stalker coach.
100% stalker coach, yes.
Yeah, I would agree as well. It's so many people are afraid to just get started, right? It's funny too, because it's definitely a topic that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And as somebody that uses this all day, every day, I'm watching podcasts in the morning with getting my mind blown, or I'm getting coached by people that are so far ahead of me with what I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much still to learn. But at the same time, then I try and teach it. Like when I was doing the talk, I went through my first draft with my broker, and he's like, way too much. People like you've lost. I'm like, but that's so simple. He's like, no, like people don't even have ChatGPT accounts right now. And so I equate it to kind of when cell phones came out, right? Like everything evolves to become easier, right? 20 years ago, we had flip phones, and if you wanted to text the word bad, you had to go 2223, right?
That's right.
And now you just, I'm not going to say her name because she'll start listening, but you just say, hey, so-and-so, text so-and-so this and this, and we're done. And now, even then, ChatGPT will be attached to your phone, right? And it can use all of the information at its fingertips without having to know how to do any of it. And just when ChatGPT 5 came out, before then, I spent 2 days trying to figure out code and Zapier and all these different things, to then ChatGPT 5 came out with agentic mode and it's just done. And I'm like, great, right? I'll pay the extra money and that's done. And I don't have to worry about that, because it is becoming more and more simple. But you also, while it's becoming easier, you do have a bigger gap of, like you said, the people that are afraid to get on camera or afraid to do all these things. You just have to get started, which is why it's always my goal to make it as easy to understand as possible and applicable. Just do this today, and then we can talk about what the building blocks are after that.
So I hear both of you saying it. And there's so many people, like in our industry, loan officers that have been around. I take myself, 40 years. So I've got a lot of loan officers that are still old school. So what is it that you would say today, start by what? What's the very first step? Is it getting your own chat account that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, you got to start with ChatGPT. That's, the stats show that there's, I want to say 8.6 billion users a month in ChatGPT versus the other ones that are in the hundreds of millions. So it's going to have the most information. I mean, it was built off of Wikipedia, so it had all that. And then it's everything else that people have added. When you have 8.6 billion a month, the data that you're going to get is drastic, right? And so, yeah, it's just a matter of opening your account. I never, ever encourage somebody to do the free account, because there's so many things unlocked at $20. It's nowadays a Starbucks drink, right? Not a couple of them, for a month.
Yeah, small coffee, please.
Yeah. And so it's just do that one at least. And the great thing about chat is, or any of them, if you don't know where to start, you just start saying that. Here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's what I enjoy doing. What do you want to know about me? Yeah, I joke, grab your favorite drink, grab a seat on the couch by the fire, and just go date ChatGPT. Just have conversations, and it knows what to ask, and it knows how to respond and how to care and show empathy, and it'll go down rabbit holes. When I was initially going on some things, it went deep into my military career. I'm like, okay, that's enough. Reel it back. I want to talk real estate and coaching and those kinds of things. And then went deep back into the fitness career. I'm like, okay, that a lot about me, great. But now, when I do, maybe I want to create my book, or maybe I'm creating a blog post or whatever, I say, as you know me, let's do this.
Wow. Okay.
That is.
I don't have an account.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
The impact of being able to have it learn who you are and respond in your voice and speak in your tone, and I think it's one of the things that, if you haven't yet invested the time to do that, it's really hard to wrap your head around getting that done in instance of seconds. With the use of a tool like that, I think the biggest thing that always hits me, like to your point, the more that I learn, the more that I'm like overwhelmed by how much more there is to it, and it never ceases to stop kind of hitting me on all the ways that you can use it that wouldn't have occurred to me until I heard someone say that, right? And then the 5 or 6 ideas that domino from that in my own head. But the biggest challenge, I think, for most people is that learning curve of how do I get started, like the overwhelm that you referenced and that you're touching on, because the rabbit hole, and I think that's a great way to phrase it, is that you can invest all this time into learning something and then still not understand how to actually make it applicable to your day-to-day life and your business. What are some of the ways that you would tell a real estate, mortgage, okay, start with that. Get an account that gets to know you, and then how would you start implementing it into your day-to-day as a way to start familiarizing yourself with it? I know for me, email was one of the first things because I got tired of email and being able to auto-respond. But what would you guys suggest is,
I'd like to, because I know that you work with a lot of the top agents.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that you bring to that? What sets you apart in this area of tech?
So something that I identified early on was this concept of farming, right? You hear that a lot. I'd never heard it before. I worked in this industry. We just called it prospecting before. But I understand what it means now. And what that is each title company has a tool. That tool essentially is a window into every single city and county of records reporting, right? So you can find out how long someone has owned a house, all of the information on that property. But what do we do with that? I learned really quickly that back in the day, people would, go door knocking, which people do today, not back in the day. That is still very popular. But that was essentially what it was meant for, right? It was, as far as our industry goes, was to pull data that was applicable to a neighborhood and a specific territory. So you could find out who was going to move, likely to move based off of when they bought, based off of the analytics of that neighborhood. And I started thinking, well, what else can we do with that data? Where else can we do besides door knock or send postcards? Is there another level here? And I found out really quickly, and something that we've kind of touched on is, the different platforms that are out there. One being Facebook, right? Facebook is kind of like where everything started. It's kind of like the Google of social, I guess. And I mean, my in-laws have Facebook, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that have Facebook. Like pretty much everybody, most, right? Every has like a Facebook. There's neighborhoods. People use it for, just shopping in general, right? So it's kind of a great space for everybody. Like your mom and your family and your neighbors are usually on it. So I thought, well, how can we marry those two? How can I get that data from title and use that in my social platforms? We can go onto Meta and you can upload farm information on the back end of Meta. And so now you've pulled a farm in your neighborhood. So you've looked at, okay, the average ownership here is 7 years. Myself goes back and pulls those owners that bought 7 years ago, because now we know that people tend to sell in that 7-year period. And now I'm going to take that data, I'm going to put it on the backside of Meta, and I'm going to start friending those people. It's likely that Chelsey Mowbray lives in El Dorado Hills. That's probably the same person that we've identified from our farm, right? So now you can start friending those people on your social platforms. You can create groups, right? So you could say, hey, I live in Waterford neighborhood. Hey, we're creating a group for Waterford neighbors. And then you can say, hey, I'm a local agent. I live here. I'm now friending you. I've got information about loan information. I've got a garage sale that's happening. I also know stuff that's going on with, the current rate of your house. So that's kind of the marrying of kind of the tech side of it, as well as the data that you can get from title and escrow, really only, right? You can only really pull actual people's information on their property, their contacts, usually their email address and phone number, but a lot of people have opted out of that stuff now. So, and I've found that most people want to, that's why social is really working in this world, because people want to work with people they kind of feel like they know.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients are moms, they're parents, they've got kids. Maybe they like to go surfing, they like to snowboard. Those are things that I like, right? I've got dogs. I tend to connect with those people more. They reach out to me more. They want to lean in a little bit more. And I think that's where, as an agent or a lender, people want to know you a little bit different than the person next door. They know who you are, and they feel like they understand a little bit about you. We know that Jayson's a vet. We know that he's into AI. We know he got married recently and he went to Disneyland. Those are things you might be like, that's the guy I want to work with. And so that's kind of where taking that data that I'm really into, using it in the social area, and then really starting to connect with people that probably already want to know you because they're your neighbor.
That's amazing. Well, and I was just at home and in Dallas and ran into several people that I went to college with. It's been over 45 years. And one of the things that came up over and over was, it seems like we've seen each other, because people would go, gosh, it's been 45 years since I saw you. Oh yeah, I see you all the time though. I know exactly what you and Tammy are doing, and blah blah blah. And you think, wow, someone that I haven't seen in 40 years. We actually know what's going on in each other's lives.
It's the opposite too. I mean, somebody you've never met.
Yep.
It's perception's reality. So as long as they're seeing your face, they begin to remember who you are. So when you are doing the different farming and those kinds of things, that's why we run a lot of in-stream ads on YouTube in the area. Like my guy at Nugget, I was walking out at Nugget one day and he was like, "Hey, I saw your ad on YouTube," and I thought to myself, that's my Nugget guy. I was like, "No, bro. I'm your real estate guy. You're my Nugget guy," right? But it's that Chelsey Pites talks about it in several of her books. Like when I first met her after knowing her for 8 years, it's big hug. It's how's the family? How's your son? How's the kid? Right? Because we perceive that we know them because we see them on social, which is why I teach my agents, do not have multiple Instagram accounts. Do not have everything goes on one. Because they don't care. They'll care about the houses when it's time for them to buy a house. But it's too late if they don't already know you or like you. Right? And so it's all of those other things. And yeah, it's when I run into somebody at the gym and they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw you were doing this or that." Or, "I saw you did your day one done. What does that even mean?" And it's like, "Oh, you actually watch? Oh, that's cool. I've never met you before." Right. And so it's imperative that we show who we are. You don't have to show what you don't want to show. If you don't want your kids on there, if your kids don't want to be on there, or different things like that, right? But we have to be just authentic who we are, good, bad, or otherwise, to put it out there, and people will resonate with those things more.
It's such an important point too. And we were talking a little bit about, before the show about, personality types. And I talk about this a lot. I myself, naturally an introvert, grew up an introvert, was an athlete, kind of almost got trained to be an extrovert. Ended up doing a lot of public speaking for various reasons throughout my sports career and coaching, and then ended up in sales and recruiting, and this extroverted lifestyle. But naturally I could go sit in a room and not say 2 words. A lot of times I go home to my wife and kids and they run around, everybody's talking, and I'm just quiet and absorbing. We all have that kind of different personality type, and you see those really loud extroverts. But you mentioned yourself, like, you're a natural introvert, and I think the idea of figuring out how to convey that and be authentic and be natural is one of the challenges that is more difficult for people that aren't naturally outgoing and don't love to put themselves on Front Street. So what's your approach been to kind of, like you said, acknowledging that, being who you are, and then trying to deliver that and create a presence on social while staying true to who you are, and not, having to kind of fight through that natural, personality trait?
Well, I mean, I have kind of a superpower in the fact that I just don't care.
That helps.
I mean,
that helps.
There's a soundbite for you.
I have Tourette syndrome. It does give me while it gave me a lot of insecurities, it also does give me a level of, I just don't care anymore. Like if I say something, like my agents know, like, you're never going to walk out of one of our meetings wondering what I meant. I've got a big sign that I had written out, and they made it into a frame sign. It says, "My responsibility is to make you feel good," but the "feel" is crossed out, right? It's to make you good, right? And so I just
I like that. I like that a lot.
And that's my role, right? At the end of the day, as you're raising kids, right, they can't always feel good about all of their decisions.
Absolutely.
They're supposed to get better, though, or athletes and all those different things. I mean, could you imagine playing baseball and your coach sees you're missing the curveball, you're not seeing the spin, and he's like, "Oh, man, but it was a great swing." What? Right? Teach me. And so for me, I just put it out there. I put out what I do, as much as I can. Now, there's a ton of stuff on my camera, on my phone, that doesn't ever even make it out because I'm just too busy or doing different things or haven't offloaded it to the VA or whatever. but I try and capture as much as I can in the moment as well. And if that's the great thing about it is if you don't like what I do or how I do, you're just not going to watch. But if you do, you will. And now social media has evolved to where it's not social media now, it's interest media. And so many people say, well, I'm afraid to put out so much content on real estate. Well, guess what? It's only going to get put out by Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everybody else to the people that want to see real estate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so you could have 1,000 followers on any social media platform and still go viral if that's your thing, right? With the right content created. You can have, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it, you can have 6 million in something that will flop, right? And so you just have to be you. The people that like you will gravitate towards you. And then when you do show up, you don't have to be somebody different because they've already identified, oh, this guy's probably going to be direct. This guy's, whatever it is, this guy's military, this guy is that. And so when I do show up, it's not a surprise who I am. I'm just me. I'm me from stage. I'm me one-on-one in a coaching. I'm me in my team meetings, and I'm me when I go meet the clients.
Yeah, that's such an important point, and to be in that is also how we avoid like human burnout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is being able to be in the state that we're most comfortable in. Yeah, I say that all the time. The best learning lesson is the emotions that you feel, right? So when my
Mm-hmm.
kids are, whether it's embarrassed, upset, whatever, those are the moments that they're learning, right? They're retaining, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to get those emotions. That's how it sticks. If it doesn't affect you emotionally, it doesn't typically stick, right?
Yeah.
As a lesson, but I think points that you're making on that I think are really cool because a lot of people, and we see this a lot when it comes to salespeople, our brains as human beings are wired to worry about the people that are going to have negative things to say.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones that we shouldn't be worried about in the first place because they're not your clients. They're not your customers. They're not your partners. Yet so many people are actually driven and affected in terms of what they decide to do based on the naysayers and the people on the side of the social friendship equation. They're never going to join them. And kind of shifting into kind of the use of this in the business cases, what do you think is the most valuable tool today for a young salesperson in our industry that you see as far as how to execute, grow your business? There's plenty of them, but what's the one that you would or one or two that you think are the most valuable for people to start engaging with?
Well, I was going to say what you said was really awesome. And at that Realty One event we were at, there was a guy that said, stop trying to prove the wrong people wrong and start proving the right people right.
Oh, I love that.
And I thought that was really great, right? So don't be out here just going after the naysayers. Try to go after the ones that have believed in you all along, right? And those are the people that will show up and follow you and help you grow and help you succeed, and lean into those people. And that's what I would say for new agents as well. I think I hear and I see a lot when someone says, oh, go after your sphere. And I think people feel genuinely really freaked out about that. Like, I don't even know who I'd invite to my birthday party, right? Like, I don't, I eloped, right? Like, I didn't even have how am I supposed to have my work your sphere? Work your sphere is supposed to be the people that are around you. And you're like, well, you can create your own sphere, right? You don't have to go with people that in your past or your family, and who knows about that, all that, right? That can be a lot. You can create your own, right? Just like you can create your own family, right? You don't have to be who you were born to. You can create your own. You can get married. You can have kids. You can have friends that are family and neighbors. You can do whatever you want, right? So when I think about young agents and some of the hesitation that comes with where to start and what to do, I think don't get scared by the words fear, and you can create your own. And that as far as technology goes, just start with one thing, and don't just go, I need to farm everything or contact everyone I've ever known that's in my phone, which can be really awkward, I think, or message everybody on my Facebook. I mean, I just think you got to just start with something that feels comfortable to you. And some people love, door knocking, and some people love cold calling. The biggest producers out there are doing everything. They are 100% doing it all. I have yet to meet a large producing agent on either side, buy side or list side, that's just doing one thing. I think all of them are wearing many hats. I think it's very important to wear many hats, but as a young, new agent, I would say lean into people that you want to emulate. That's where I would say to start with. And then start with networking people that you already know and trust, and that trust you, and it will naturally happen. And kind of what Jayson was saying as far as content goes, and people that will follow you, and people that will lean in, people that will use you for lending or escrow and title. One of my first jobs was in affiliate marketing, and that's essentially like cookies, and it makes it so whenever you went onto a website, say you went to Nordstrom's, right, and you like picked on a pair of boots, and then you went to another website and those boots were there, they're like following you around the internet, and people used to be like, oh my gosh, it's terrible, people are going to hate that. Well, now I live in a world where I love it. I love that it's marketing stuff that I want, right? Like I just bought the best duvet cover ever because it was new. I was looking for a new duvet cover, and it's showing me stuff that I want to get for my kids. Oh, here's a new water bottle that's like way better, and it's not going to get all grody in the straw. So look, I like this marketing towards me, and I lean into it. And I think we all are so scared that being people that are going to follow you, but they want to follow you. They want to see what you're doing. They want to know whether you're talking about interest rates or Texas or sports. They're naturally just like, oh yeah, I like that. And the other people are like, I don't give two craps about Texas or sports. I want to go with the person that's talking about duvet covers.
Yeah.
You don't care about Texas. Get a rope. I agree with that, and the sphere of influence. I believe that when I sit down with a new loan officer, one of the things that they're always seem to be scared to death of is this idea of selling something to people that they know and love. Yep. And I try to teach them that is the absolute worst way to look at what we do. That you're not selling anything. What you're doing is developing stronger relationships, and you're educating. And I give them examples of every day you can continue to grow your sphere. That if you take your car over here to the shop, there's a guy that's going to come out, and he's going to, what do you need done? He's going to fill out the paperwork. He's going to set it up. He's going to tell you what it's going to cost, and he staples his card to it and says, I'll give you a call this afternoon when the dealership is done. So sure, about 2-3 o'clock, he calls you, says, Chelsey, I've got your car ready, and it's you can pick it up. So you go over, and he walks you through. Car's been washed. It's great. That guy just created a service for you. Did you something? So I tell my people that guy needs to be on your database. You need to reach out to him and say, thank you so much. You have his contact. Thank you so much for creating a nice experience for me, making sure that my car was done correctly. I really appreciate it. I'm in the lending industry, and I'm going to put you on my database, and if you ever need the same kind of service, I will always be here for you. And so now he understands why he's there, why he's getting information, and hopefully you stay in touch with him with more than just, here's what interest rates are. But that's just a small example of your hairdresser, your guy at what store was
Nugget.
it? Yeah.
Nugget.
The Nugget guy. Those are the people that every day you can create a better relationship with, and not sell them anything, but make sure that they understand why you're there,
what you do, and why you are. The most common thing I've personally had to witness loan officers throughout my 20 years is the ones that I don't want to constantly bombard people with what it is I do, and then the smart ones learn it once. The ones that are more apprehensive will learn this lesson over and over, where someone buys a house, someone takes a loan out, and they find out after the fact, and they go, "Oh, I didn't know you were in the business. I would have given you a call, but I didn't know."
Mm-hmm.
And then they like, that's why they need to know what you do. That's why the constant reminders, because people have their own lives to live, and so as much as you might feel like you're in their face, if you learn how to just introduce what you do on a regular basis.
I learned that lesson. My son was in baseball from T-ball all the way up to high school travel teams. And I remember when it was probably junior high. We were in Little League, and you sit in the stands with the same parents for years. And sitting there in the stands one day, everybody's sitting there. How was your week? Oh God, I'm so tired. I just closed on a home just when we're trying to move in. And it's like you look at them and you go, you just bought a home? Who did your loan? And they say, oh, I got some guy, I can't even remember his name, from so-and-so. And you look at him and you go, you should have called me. And they say, I didn't know what you do for a living. And you sit there and you're counting all the other parents on that stands and you're going, well, crap. I could have had that.
That's sales marketing 101, but it is the intimidating, thing that I think a lot of salespeople, especially people that are, whether it's naturally introverted or shy or whatever the case is. But I think getting into it, right, we all have a background, and you were just touching on it. We become parents, we become, a central figure in our own families after, growing up within, our own, childhoods and families. That product of all those things kind of produces a lot of our habits, and obviously as a military veteran, I'm sure that shaped a lot of your outlooks and your habits. What from your past that led you into real estate, what would you say shaped you and guided you into making the decision to get into real estate, and how has your past kind of guided your overall philosophy in business?
The military aspect is more where the discipline comes into play. In the Air Force for 7 years, I was enlisted, but I got to fly all over the world, lots of different cultures, which helped me to become very relatable. Because I've been to probably 40 different states. So if you're from there, I could probably, oh yeah, where do you live, right? I used to fly to this state, or I used to go to this place, or this and that. But really, it was the in-between in the fitness career, where I was at 24 Hour Fitness for 9 years. I was with Lifetime for 6. And so it was I led teams of trainers of 65 with leadership teams of 15. I was a sales manager for multiple states. I was the general manager on the East Coast. And so I got into real estate because it was an opportunity. It was a obviously lucrative opportunity, but I went into it knowing I needed a coach. I'm big on coaching, so I knew I needed to go with somebody that I could trust, somebody that I knew. Somebody that I've known since I was 9 years old. I was his paper boy. He literally named his son after me.
Wow.
And so I went with him with the expectation, though, that I'm going to learn what I need to learn so I could take over the team. So again, starting with the end in mind, right? And so I did that. Then the carrot kept getting moved and moved and moved until I had to make a decision to leave. So then I left. I left there probably 5-6 years ago, and then went with a different brokerage where I thought I was starting my team under their team. That didn't work out, or I wasn't allowed to do that. So that was about a year and a half, and then I started my own team 3 years ago. But it's always been leadership driven, consultative driven, because while I do love helping the buyers and the sellers, my joy comes from helping the agents achieve their goals and dreams through helping the buyers and the sellers, right? One of my agents just last week bought her first house, and she's having a career year in her 3rd year in what we know is a very down market, and she's having the best year, and it rivals, veterans in the industry. And so it's being able to do that. That's why I do what I do. And so it's those lessons that I learned year over year and of just training and developing people that just easily translated into real estate.
So what do you think is going to be in your team? What do you think is going to be the short-term outlook on this market and what you're doing with your team? Maybe 6 months to 18 months out. What do you think this next short-term market's going to be, and what are you doing?
Well, I think more and more people are realizing they don't want to or can't do it on their own. And so as we've seen recently with the big takeovers, right, where, the Anywhere was bought and now Zillow's making some changes. I think that if you're an individual agent trying to maintain your own CRM, maintain your own farm, maintain this, and this, while trying to learn or not learn all the other tools and resources that we have, you're going to get swallowed up. Or your business is going to just start to dwindle to where you hand it off to somebody else that comes by and says, hey, let me take that over for you. We'll do a referral fee down the road because you just don't want to learn it, which that's okay too. We'll help you as well, right? But I think over the next 6 months, to answer your question, more and more people will join teams. The gap is only getting greater between those that are doing a lot more deals and those that are doing none at all. You only have to do, I think it's 5 deals a year right now to be in the top 10% in the nation. I pulled stats yesterday. There's just in Placer County alone, there's 2,000 agents that have done less than 4 deals in the last 12 months. Wow. So those agents need help. And so I'm working on ways that I can help, right? And so I think that more and more of those agents will identify, hey, I need help. I need to join a team that has resources, that maybe is ahead in AI or farming, whatever it is that they feel that they need. They're going to gravitate towards those teams, or what they like teamerages, they call them now, because we'll hang our license under a broker so we don't have maybe the legality to it, but grow a massive team underneath that where it almost feels like a brokerage. And so I just think that more and more people will understand, if I get started, I need to be on a team, or I've been doing this for 3, 4, 5, 6 years and still not doing what I thought it was going to be so easy because Aunt Susie had been doing it for 30 years and she was doing 25 deals a year. I didn't understand the work and the runway that it took to get to that. And so I need help before I'm non-existent.
So let me ask you a question. Maybe this is I'll tee you up. If I'm a agent out there and I'm one of these people struggling, and what would be the 3 things if I joined you? If you can put it into 3, what would be the top 3 things that you would do immediately for me that would make a difference in my career?
Well, I'd give you my book.
Which you already did. So I'm step 1.
You got step 1. No, I mean, really, it's a matter of identifying what you want to accomplish. Everything that we do is starting with the end in mind, right? What do you want to accomplish? Let's work it backwards. I used to think that you had to be somebody that if you didn't do 12 deals a year, you weren't successful. And then I had a conversation with the mentor, and they're like, well, maybe 4 deals a year for that agent is success. Paying their kids' college tuition is success for them, right? So I'll meet you where you're at, but we have to identify what that means, and then what's the work that's required to get there. And then it's just managing to those expectations of what you said was important, right? Because then it's not my goals. It's not me holding you accountable.
Nice. Yeah.
I joke, everybody wants a coach until they get coaching, right? And so, but it's just acknowledging, hey, this is what you said was important. This was the map that we built, and you're still over here. So what's the disconnect? And how do we get started? Because really, it's just a matter of that. It's getting started. It's knowing that you are going to do some things that you're not comfortable doing, because that's where the growth happens, right? Like, I was 4'11" as a sophomore in high school. It was very painful to grow a foot in 18 months. But I thank God that I grew and I went through that pain to get where I am now, right? And so it's just acknowledging that there's going to be some pain, there's going to be some growth to that, but let's figure out where you want to get to. Let's build the plan, and then the amount of resources. I mean, if there's a subscription for it, I probably already pay for it. And so I turn that over to the team, right? So many different things, maybe to a fault, because like, well, do I use this one or this one? And so I have in the last 3 months said, okay, we haven't used this in 3 months. It's out, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it's a matter of which resources that I provide are going to make the most sense for where you're at, right? Do you really want to be on Instagram? Great. Then let's help you have the best Instagram. Here's the top 5 people that I would follow, and I'll make introductions to you, like she said, with your coach, right? Like I just went to something called BAM Camp, and now BAM is heavy in our industry, and there's a woman up in Spokane who is the quintessential hyper-local person. Well, I said, hey, this is an agent of mine. Here's what he's doing. Here's some of his challenges. They made a connection while we were there. And then I said, hey, also, I've got this other agent who is a mom, and that's kind of her niche. So I put the two, they're now talking, right? So I can put you with certain people who you're going to gravitate to. Also, it's great for me because then when you hear my message from somebody else, like, oh, okay, it's the second king principle, right? He's been saying that all along, but I see him every day in the office. Now I hear it differently. I don't care who gets the credit. I just care that you do the work and you get the results.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So much in that resonates with me big time. I think the biggest mistake managers and leaders make in sales is ignoring what it is that are the ambitions and the goals of the individual they're leading, right? I mean, setting a goal for someone that they have zero interest in actually achieving is the most counterproductive thing.
Never works.
It doesn't work, especially in sales, when you're not, when it's a commission-driven type of an environment. But asking those questions, really helping them focus on that, hugely relate to that. And I think that's how you create loyalty and create an impact with people, right? This is your goal, and when you want to coach someone hard and actually challenge them and get them to be comfortable being uncomfortable, it has to start with it being something they in fact do want, right? Like that it's important to them. So I love that.
If I could add on to that too, just one thing, from how am I going to help impact your business immediately, right? So if you're going to go on a listing appointment next week and you don't really know what you're doing, or maybe you have been doing it a while, but you're not into AI, well, if I'm going to go up to the same listing appointment, I'm going to win it because against you, right? That's why you want to learn what we have to offer, because we've nailed it down to a science who the buyer is from the beginning. And we talk about it in there, but to the point where we do our listing videos. We don't do 1, 2, 3 Main Street. Let's go take a look at the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right? We don't actually even talk about the house until probably a minute into the video. Everything's about the area, right? Like today I'm going to a listing video. We're going to be at Golden 1 to start, and the house is in Natomas, right? And then there's going to be a shot over at Crawdads, right? The house is in Natomas. We're not even going to talk about the house until we get into it. But my point is, we do that because we know who the buyer is already. And so we just had one this year that was in Folsom, and we do a buyer avatar. So all I do, it's very simple. I just say, I'm the listing agent on this address. Who's my perfect buyer avatar, or in layman's terms, buyer profile, right? And it'll tell you their jobs, their interests, economics, where they're coming from, schools, what's important, all of these things. So this one in Folsom, it said he's either in tech or healthcare. She's a teacher. They've got 2 younger kids, so schools are important. She wants to be close to shopping. He wants to be close to the lake for outdoor activities. And they're likely a move-up buyer from the Sacramento area, or they're moving from San Jose. So I know where to target. I don't have to go target LA necessarily, right? I know they're coming from San Jose or Sacramento. And then, of course, I'm going to also target my own farm, right? I want them to see that I'm active, proof over promise. But the buyer ended up being a guy who was in tech at Sutter, so he got 2 of the boxes. She was a teacher. They had 2 kids in elementary school, so they wanted to be in the Folsom School District. She wanted to be close to the Palladio, and he wanted a place to store his boat because he wanted to go to Folsom Lake on the weekends. And they're from San Jose.
Now, if you could get that tool to tell you their names up front so you could just call them, that would be cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so that's how we market, right? So I can go to, and we haven't missed. So we started doing this in February. We have not missed once.
Wow.
We know the end buyer every single time is the person that we said it was going to be. So we know the video we need to create. We know the words that need to be said in the video. That's how we then build our listing description. Because if you talk to most agents, they're saying, I use AI for my listing descriptions. And that's the extent of it. Great. You started, right? We talked about that. But that's only a piece of it. So when you do all of this and you put that into your listing description and it feeds the SEO monsters and everything else, then that's how your buyer then ends up finding out they need your house. And we just closed a condo yesterday in Folsom. Same exact thing. It had been listed previously. It was getting no traction. It'd been on the market for 30 days. All of the condos were sitting for 50 days plus. We ended up getting 3 offers in 10 days. The buyer was exactly who we thought it was going to be, a move-up buyer in the area. It's a 1-bedroom condo, right? First-time home buyer, that kind of thing. And we got it. We nailed the highest price per foot in the year.
Wow.
That is picture or textbook execution on it. That's a really cool story here too. The precision of that. And
I would like to hear, same question, Chelsey, the next 6 months to 18 months, what are you seeing in this market? What are you telling your agents, or what are you providing that?
Well, I thought Jayson had a good point about the team environment. I'm definitely seeing that. You have some of the lone wolves out there, and I think they're just there's some that are doing wonderfully well, and they're incredibly driven, and they know exactly how much they want to be making. They know how many homes they want to sell. They know how many they're down to the phone calls that they're making strategic in their business model, right? And so that's a very unique person. And then there's a lot of people that are very scared to join teams. Like, oh, the split though, because I'm already paying the broker, and then I got it. And I'm like, why don't you just worry about selling homes first or buying homes first? And then you can hash that out once it becomes like a problem, right? Like you got to start somewhere. So I've just been telling folks, align with people that are going to naturally be aligned with, whether you want to be with someone that's doing Zillow leads or someone that's doing AI, someone that's really heavy into print marketing, like whatever it is. But you got to go, if you don't have the strategic mindset to be incredibly driven and putting a lot out there, so all the tools that a team lead might be paying for, so whether that's Canva's subscriptions or whatever it is, if you don't personally have the money to be spending on all these $25, $100 a year subscriptions, because let's face it, you're not making a base salary. So if you can't invest in all of that, join a team, right? Join someone and a group that can pay for that and they can hold that. Then you get rocking and rolling, and then worry about those splits and who's taking what at the end of the day. But you kind of have to have a clear idea of where you want to go, right? And so it's back to those original questions of like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? That they used to always ask at interviews, and you really had to think like, where you can't just say, well, working here. You had to really think like, well, I want to be leading a team, or I want to be the top producing agent on this team, or I want to be the sales manager on this team. So I see the market kind of shifting to folks really leaning into social, really leaning into everything social. So TV ads. I know an agent that just got a listing from a 24-hour fitness video that she had just go across, and she doesn't even work out there. But also, I think that teams kind of got a bad rap back in the day, or as of, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, just because people thought they were giving too much up. And I think at least I'm seeing that it's actually shifting, and that folks are now starting to see that value proposition of, oh, if I join your group, one, I have that herd mentality of they're winning, they're succeeding, they're doing what he's or she's saying and really getting success from it. So now I'm just sitting in a room full of champions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of is shifting that mindset of before of like, oh, I'm an independent contractor, I'm just going to do it all myself, to, well, crap, if I, hitch my wagon to theirs, maybe I'm going to go faster and be stronger and get to the front of the pack sooner. So that's kind of what I'm seeing, at least right now. And we all kind of know that we're heading towards the holidays. It's going to be colder. Kids are going to be going on vacay, breaks from school. So it's now time to really hit the pedal harder, right? So you're really looking at 2026 goals and 2026 projections. So you should be doing all those things that we've all touched on, like as much as possible now, because everyone's about to kind of go into sleeper mode, right? So you need to be looking at people that are going to be reaching out to you. Well, I'm not going to sell my house when Christmas is coming. I'm not going to have people coming through here when there's Christmas trees up. Then we've got Thanksgiving. I don't want everyone coming through my house. So that's going to slow down a little bit. Of course, we'll always have people that are selling and buying, but it's really, you need to get really heavy now so that in January you're like stacked, right? With appointments and follow-ups and opportunities that are going to start turning into real conversations, because it's really now in the next 6 months the most important time of the year to really hit it hard.
Well, she makes a good point. People talking about, I just need to wait, not just because the vacation time, holidays are coming up, but we get a lot of people saying, I'm just going to wait for interest rates to drop. Or the market's going to get better. Values are going to go down, or values are going up. I bet you get that all the time.
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
I mean, I tell them, listen, at the end of the day, I'll still be selling houses whenever you're ready. But with that being said, I'll back it up with data. We can look at the past 25 years, and it has always gone up. Yes, there's dips, but if you're looking to be in your house that you want to buy today in 5 to 7 years, it absolutely makes more sense today than it does to wait 5 to 7 years. I heard stats this morning that said the most conservative four-year forecast right now is 8%, 2% a year. The most aggressive is 27% over the next 4 years. So somewhere in between is the answer, right? The truth. And so I just help people to understand it's not about rates. It's about affordability. So what does that look like for you? And what does our plan need to be to get you there? If it's not today, or if it's not the next 6 months, what does that look like? So let's connect now, because I would much rather you tell me you're not ready for 6 months and talk to you today than to talk to you 6 months from now. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to buy a house today. Well, it would have been great to meet you 6 months ago, right? And so
should have been preparing.
Exactly. So let's identify what that right house looks like for you, what the right plan is. Let's just make sure that we're a good fit for when that opportunity does meet us. And so it's just a matter of establishing what's important to them, and then how can we be of help or of service to them.
Right on.
Love that. You guys both touched on something, and you followed up on what you said earlier regarding the teams, leadership, joining groups. That's been a really common conversation that I've had for, I would say, the last 12 to 18 months. I do think teams got a bad rap. I think quote, middle management, leadership got a bad rap. The scarcity mindset kicked in. I think, as the market shifted and the narrative in the conversation was about splits, commissions, how much you were giving up, because the idea that you could generate more business and create more leads had kind of evaporated from most people's mindsets. And so it was preserve the maximum amount of what little they felt they could, generate. And that narrative has been shifting, and I have been seeing so much of that where people realize as one person, you hit a bandwidth limit, and you can only be an expert at so many things, and you can't actually commit to doing all the things to run a great business by yourself and achieve the numbers that you are aspiring to. For the mass majority of us, you need support, you need people, you need teams. But that narrative has really took hold. I mean, we said all that with a lot of people moving in out of, from mortgage banks to the broker space just to, hey, I'm independent, I'm working from home. And then how do you start to learn all these tools? How do you start to actually engage? Now I got to go become an expert in something I've never used versus grabbing onto someone who already knows how to use it, can put it in play and make it operational. When you look at the real estate agent, population, is that changing in your guys' conversations with real estate agents as well, where the team is becoming more, because this is, now everybody's kind of preparing for the market as it begins to evolve, much like we're starting to see on the mortgage side? Are you guys seeing that in your conversations?
I mean, I think that you have certain members that were maybe independent contributors before that have now stepped in and are leaning in harder on being team leads. And they're doing a really good job at it. And so that's what's really, you're watching someone that said, oh, I have one person on my team, go from that to 10 to 20 to 50, that I think that wasn't happening before. And I just think it's because these folks that were out there really winning and had a good structure to their work mentality have then built a good, but I also want to say that it has to be the right person to lead a team, right? So not every team can be led the same, and not every person can lead the team. It's very specific. It's very intentional. So I can identify almost right off the bat who in the group is the team lead. It's like very obvious, not the manager, but like the actually who has a team. Yep. You can pretty much meet an agent and know that they probably have a group behind them. And just by their talk track, just about how they kind of come across. And then you have other folks, oh, I'm gonna start a team, and it just plummets like really quickly. And you feel bad because the people that joined into that, because they were just looking to just grow that rev, just get really bummed out, and they leave, and you see them, doing something that they were not wanting to do. So I don't know. I guess in general, I see the market moving towards just really connecting with someone that believes in you and that knows all the tools, knows what's coming next, and also builds a group around them, right? So whether it's your title rep or your painter, your inspector, your whatever it is, you build a trusted network. And maybe the peer people that Jayson works with, not everybody in his team does, but he has to build his own. And then each individual on that team can say, yeah, I want to work with who you work with. Or you can say, actually, I want to build my own little hive, right? So maybe Jayson works with me, and maybe you work with a different title rep, just because that's who you connect with, and that's who you feel reliable and dependable to you and your business and your clientele. And I think that goes through all facets of this industry, that you have to have people you trust and that are dependable, right? So if I'm going to refer an agent to a team, meaning like I meet someone and they're just fizzling out where they're at, and they're like, gosh, Chelsey, I'm looking to join someone else. I gotta make a change. Or the last lender I had was just really mean to my clients or didn't get back to anybody. Do you know anyone? Legally, we have to say 3 different people. That's just the title world. But you can say, you know what? I think that you should meet with these 3 different lenders, because this is kind of your vibe, and I know what might be aligned for you, might be good for you. Here's different teams at different brokerages that you might really like. So yeah, I think that's where it's going in general. I think it's really smart. I could personally never just become a realtor and just know it all. There's just no way. And I know a lot about a lot of stuff, but there's just no way. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't be like, some people are like, I don't even know anything about title and escrow. And I'm like, well, that's why you have title and escrow people. That's what we can do. Pass that buck to us. I don't know anything about loans. Well, that's why you have a lender in your wheelhouse, right? So that you can you can call on them and they can help educate your clients. So this industry in particular, you have to have good connections. You have to have people you trust that'll pick up the phone, that will speak the way that you speak and talk to your clients the way that you talk to them, because they're all kind of independent, right? Like just because you work at a brokerage doesn't mean you have your own in-house title and escrow. And you usually sometimes don't have your own lenders and you don't have your own inspectors. And those, you have to kind of outsource everything. So I think as we evolve as an industry and as individuals, we're learning to really hone in on our team as a whole, not just within a brokerage, but your lenders and your title and escrow and your, the tradesmen of the world that are out here trying to just bring that one client all over that finish line. So that's what I see it going. That's where I hope it continues to go, with just finding your niche, finding your group, and just staying with them and staying loyal to them. And that's what I try to do, right, is introduce people to other folks. We kind of are connectors. So if I talk to Julie and Julie asks me to be here and I think, oh, Jayson would be a great connection here. He's someone that could help you guys. You guys could help him. He can help me. This is kind of the way that this industry really works, is helping each other and then ultimately helping clients, right? So that's what we want to do is give them exposure and give them and have them aligned with people that are going to really support them in their home purchasing and home selling journeys.
Absolutely. You're talking 1 + 1 = 3 type of equations, right? All the time. And, listening to you speak as a leader, I think one of the things that I hear in your message over and over that I admire and respect, and I think really hits to the point that we're talking about, which is in our industries, a lot of times top producers become leaders of teams because that's how it progresses, but they're oftentimes the worst suited to lead teams because they're always prioritizing their production, their database, their people, their transactions. And the idea is, well, join my team and just learn from me. But they don't prioritize the success of others. It's not a right, wrong, good, bad. It's just that's not their focus. Your focus, and that's the way my brain works. I enjoy helping others succeed, right? And hearing you say that, like, that's what represents great leadership, is investing in the success of others and bringing groups together and having a focus like that. You have a very clear value prop too. And I think that part of the kind of shift away from teams, not only the market, but also a lot of overpromise, underdeliver experiences with teams, with groups, with leaders, with management, that led people to not actually getting a return for what they paid for. And now I think because the industry has seen a lot of thinning of the herd, right? There's a lot, the ones that are stepping into leadership roles like you have and have a clear value prop and care about the success of their people, that is worth the value, 10x, or more. And so, listening to you speak, I can hear it, and I can hear that focus, because that's such an important thing. If you want to join a team, you want someone who wants you to succeed. Yeah. Right. That it's your success has to be their success.
Well, and to her point, one of the things that we've been doing in the past couple months is making the calls to your closed clients. We don't call them past clients because they'll become somebody else's client at that point, right? If they're just in your past. But we've been calling our clients also because it's the hardest thing for agents to do, right? To pick up a phone because you have no reason to call your client, and you don't want to just say, hey, I was just calling to check in, right? I just calling to give you a home value update, right? Nobody wants to hear that. But what we've been doing is, because of a software program that we have to create that synergy between us and the clients, is, hey, you know what? I've dropped the ball, haven't reached out to you in a little bit. However, one of the things that we're doing is creating a vendor list for our clients. So since you bought your house 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, who are your top painters, housekeepers, handyman, whatever it is, that you would recommend and we could put in our ecosystem? And then they feel valued. Wow, you asked for my opinion on who you're going to refer out. And then we can now call that painter, handyman, et cetera, and say, hey, you were referred to us by Joe Smith at such and such address. We wanted to put you in our ecosystem for future referrals between El Dorado, Sacramento, Placer, whatever it is. And then down the road, obviously, as that same client will then reach out, hey, I know you called me about my painter, but do you have anybody that can do this? Right? And then it keeps them in that ecosystem so that, you know, we know the stat, 80% say they would use their agent again and 12% actually do, right? So this keeps them in that ecosystem of every time they need something for their house, they reach out to the agent or to that software program. They just log in and go, hey, you know what? I want to find a veterinarian, not veteran. I want to find a veterinarian. Yeah. You know,
useful.
Yeah. In my neighborhood, right? Boom. We've got that on there for them to go to. And then, so they think of us as it relates to their house and not just that transaction. And so it's been a really good conversation starter for them to just reach out. Hey, I just wanted to see how you could help us help you down the road.
I love
Great
that.
idea.
The
Great idea.
That whole issue is one of the most common things with databases, and it in my personal opinion, it comes back to, from a salesperson's perspective, it's being kind of fixated on what you're looking for, which is a sale, right? Is what becomes the blocker versus what value can I provide to my database, right? If you can focus or have your team focusing on ways to create value you can reach out to them endlessly to provide them value. But that's where whenever I've had conversations with people that are afraid to call, they're worried about the idea of, oh, I'm selling. Shift the whole thinking. What value can I deliver to them?
Yeah.
Because and it's crazy, but that's what I think happens to a lot of people, especially as they get into a rut or they just kind of lose, the inspiration of leadership, being in an environment. Love that idea too. And especially the use of the tools today. There's some tools now that can anticipate that and that you can put that aren't removing you from the equation. They're just leveraging, like what you said with the shopping, like giving exactly what your database and each individual wants right when they want it.
And I think your clients want to hear from you. I mean, they bought or sold a house with you. And, when I sold my house in July in Santa Cruz, the people that I sold to, I was like, I have the best housekeeper. I mean, I'm sad because I had to sell my house and it's in Santa Cruz and I live here now, but I lost it.
Wow.
I was like, I know, that's a whole thing. But I was like, I have the best housekeeper and I have the best painter. And because I genuinely did. And I knew that I wasn't going to be using them anymore. And they were like my favorite people. I also had this great nanny. And as much as technology can teach us a lot of stuff, there's stuff that just like the childcare that I had, you would never know it because she was off the grid. She was just an in-house childcare, but was by far the most amazing childcare I'd ever had. Right walking distance from the house. The people that were buying my house had kids. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give you some info because my spot's going to be going, right? My kids are out. You could get in there. Do you want Mariana's information? Yeah. Do you want Zoila's information? The best housekeeper? Generationally. My mom had her. She passed it on to me. And that's the painter we had. He don't even think he had a website. The nicest guy, sweetest team. They came in crazy affordable. And those are the things that calling your clients, I think it's brilliant, Jayson, calling your clients and saying, hey, do you now have the best housekeeper? Or like, how's your, just having those conversations. I think people are like, oh, like that, literally the housekeeper I have in El Dorado Hills, my neighbor told me about because her sister knew about her. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's next level. Like she makes little swans out of the toilet paper and whatever. I mean, she's, and very sweet. And very kind. And I thought, gosh, it's amazing. But she made like a flower the other day. And I was like, oh my gosh, they bring their own like press. It's insane. But those are things that people wanted to share. And and I want to support her in her business. And I want anyone else that buys in our neighborhood to be able to support her. And she could come one day and do 5 houses. So I think that we work in a trade. I know us in this room do, but I think people in general, when you have someone that you're partnered with, like whether it's your plumber or your housekeeper or whatever, you want to support them, right? Or your mechanic, right?
Yep.
Like, God, I had the best mechanic. You got to go check him out. Like, he's amazing. And he's going to be super thrilled that you referred him. And now he's got a new client. And guess what? When he probably goes to buy or sell, or his aunt does,
Definitely
gonna
about
remember to call you and be like, oh my gosh, that lender guy just sent me like 3 other people. And now he's in my head of like, whenever I got something or I know someone that says I'm going to sell my house or I'm going to use Jayson or I need a loan, they're going to remember because you helped them. Right. And so I think that that's so smart to call old past current closed clients. There we go. Closed clients and kind of just chat with them about what they love about that house that you helped them out with, what's cool in the neighborhood, or, you know, how's that grumpy dog next door, the prickly neighbor, is that still going on?
That's phenomenal. And it you know, personally, the you know, being in mortgage and real estate my whole career, the agent that we've used forever, it's all of those things that makes it easy for me to go that route. I don't want to make decisions when we need a landscaper to cut the tree, or I need a painter to come in. You already got people, you trust them, you know them, they're recommended. Cool, that's one less decision for me to worry about. And I think a lot of, you know, homeowners that are looking to sell, that's a huge value add. And so the more of that and the trust that you can build, that, you know, that has to be a huge lift for teams to gather that data and to get those references and, you know, to be accessible. And so I know that to me, that's like the most valuable thing in the world is cool. I don't have to go through the process of figuring out this vendor. And, you know, my dad was ran his own business for 30 years, and it's all relations, it's all referrals, it's trust. Like, doesn't matter how cool the technology is, that still exists, right? Is the trust that you build with people. So when you guys kind of assess the, you know, the holistic value for your clients, and you then go into the like a listing presentation, or, you know, talk to buyers, what are some things that you try to coach or teach, you know, your newer agents to maybe add that is often left out, or maybe something that maybe is kind of a good catch that leaves them more memorable? Is there anything that you find as a particular pointer or thing that you like to add into their you know, business model?
I think it's like when they're talking to buyers specifically to that question, it's just shutting up and listening. Because it's so funny, the less we know, the more we want to talk about what we know.
Love it.
Thanks, but that's not what we were talking about.
Yeah. And it's just like, if you would just be quiet about all the things that you know in real estate because you've been licensed for 6 months or a year, and you would just listen to the client, you're going to make that relationship. You're going to hear the things that are actually important to them that they're not telling you, right? Even on a phone, you're going to hear the kid in the background crying or whatever. Oh, is it nap time? Oh, what's your, you know, is that son or daughter in the background, right? Or you hear a dog bark. Oh, what's your dog's name? You know, I love dogs, right? And you start, because like we talked about earlier, people like people that are similar, shared interests. And so it's not the house that they're selling or moving into. It's what do you like to do? Just like we talked about with our lifestyle videos. Everything else is going to work together, right? So it's called a consultation for a reason. Be consultative, right? Just listen and ask questions to understand, not be understood, right? Make it about them and not about you, not about all the things that you can offer. Don't go puke on them, all the things that you know, right? Instead,
show
just
up and throw up.
Yeah. How can I help you? What are you looking for? What are maybe some things that you're afraid of, right? What are some things that you've heard about in the industry right now or haven't heard of? How many other agents have you talked to, right? And one of the things that I coach the agents on is when they do make phone calls, like, oh yeah, I have an agent. Okay, great. Just curious, when you decided to go with that agent, how many other agents did you interview before making that decision about them for the biggest financial decision in your life right now? And usually it's one, especially if it's a buyer, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe a listing, it's 2 or 3, right? Oh, it's my cousin, you know, whatever. Okay. And so it's a matter of, well, I would still love to interview for that opportunity. You know, if you want to have somebody in the background that can maybe help you out or whatever it is, because also a lot of people just use that as a smokescreen. Oh, I already have an agent, right?
Yeah.
I never ask what their name is. Just I think that's weird. It's not like you're going to know who they are.
Yep.
There's 22,000 of us in Tri-County, you know, but it's just a matter of, okay, great. You know, how many did you interview? Right? And then just asking those questions, but really it just comes down to listen more than you talk. You're going to get way more out of it than you thought. And just like dating, right? If you go on a date with somebody and you talk the whole time, she's going to go back to her girlfriends and be like, oh my God, he wouldn't shut up. Right? It was a horrible date. You think it went well. Right?
Sure. You had a great time.
You had a great time. You told her everything about you. And the opposite's also true. Yeah, you go on a date and she talks the whole time. She's going back to her girlfriends. Oh my gosh, he was amazing. He listened to everything. You know, I know so much about him, even though you probably know nothing because you just talked the whole time, right? But it's just human nature. And so, yeah, just listen when you talk.
Love it. Love it. That's the sales 101. Listen more than you talk, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, this has been an amazing episode. Really, really grateful that both of you joined us today. It's such a cool perspective as well.
It's so awesome hearing about what you do as a team, and I do believe in the team process. I think that it did get a bad rep, but I think that there's been teams forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of, did the team actually provide the support that you wanted? We hear that all the time. And it sounds like you've got just a fantastic process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. For the audience again, Empowered Agents by
Yeah.
Jayson Flory.
How can you get that? Is
Amazon.
just Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Quick and easy. I even like the robot there. That's
Thank you.
those are what are going to be delivering our Amazon packages pretty soon, I'm sure, right?
Yep. Elon says they're 5 years out.
5 years out. So more like 3 once it picks up, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Any parting thoughts for us from the resident tech expert over here?
Oh gosh, that's so not me.
Come on.
No, I'm just glad to be here. I thought Julie said just wonderful things about you guys, and she's been a big advocate for getting on camera. I am 100,000% an introvert. I do not like being on camera. I don't even like taking my own photos. I had to get out of that because I realized I had no pictures of me with my kids. It was just of my kids. And, I was there, I think. And
You're gonna ask later.
I know,
What happened to Mom?
So I'm just glad that there's collaboration, that there's folks that, we're not necessarily working together right now, but we can be in the future. So I appreciate the time. I'm glad that you're giving us this awesome platform. So thank you.
Yeah.
Really enjoy you being here. And congrats on the book. Congrats on
you.
the team.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
once again,
Sounds like great things you got coming up.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah. I hope that there's things that we can do together that can help push that.
Likewise.
Yes.
So, from a lending standpoint, to wrap this up, the last couple of weeks has been all about preparing for the government shutdown, the things that are coming. The feds are still worried about inflation, so that's driving a lot of it. Still worried about employment numbers, which we're getting a lot of conflicting employment numbers, but it seems like that segment of the economy is slowing down. And so the last about 5 or 6 days, we've seen the market start to improve, but it's still a lot of volatility. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with this shutdown. Typically, in times of instability, we'll get a runoff from people getting out of stocks and moving to bonds. It's the security. But right now, both bonds are doing okay the last 5 days, but stocks have set new records again.
Yep.
I think I read somewhere we've had 32 record stock market days this year. And so I just don't know where the market's going to go. Right now, this last 3 or 4 days, slight improvements in rates, but we don't know. We've got a little bit of momentum, and we'll see what happens as they solve this government shutdown. So that's all we got on that.
All we got, just punt to another week and keep living our lives. But perfect. Well, we will wrap today. Thank you both so much.
Thank
and
you.
as always, Buzz, thanks for filling us in with all the info on the mortgage and stock market updates. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen. This has been another episode of the Blitz Break, and we hope you all have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.